What's going on, Chargers fans? Chargers Now is presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Will Ortner. And we've got some really good news from tight end David Njoku as OTAs are getting underway for the Chargers. Don't worry, we're going to have OTA videos out for you. Any news, any rumors on the team, we'll make sure that we get to those as this week goes on. Just please be patient with me. I will be on PTO, so we'll get to the videos. I still work on vacation. They'll just be coming at a different time. We're going to break down David Njoku's signing because when we look at the Ian Rappaport tweet, we can talk about how good of a deal it was. Essentially, we were led to believe that the Chargers were getting David Njoku for $8 million next year, right? And in my personal opinion, that's a steal for a guy of the talent level of one David Njoku. But now that the full contract details are out, it certainly feels like this deal is even better for the Los Angeles Chargers and maybe even better for David Njoku. I mentioned that OTAs are underway. We're going to talk more about Njoku in just a moment. But if you're excited for real football to return, hit the thumbs up button on today's video. We're going to have you covered on all the Chargers news and rumors going throughout the year. But I would rather be reporting about news because that means Chargers football is here. So hit the thumbs up button on today's video. So this came to us from Tyler Schoon. He ended up tweeting out a post that essentially told us that David Njoku's base value was really going to be more about $3 million and that it was more of an up to $8 million instead of an $8 million deal that might have been previously reported. Sometimes NFL insiders will do that because agents will say, oh, it's an $8 million deal. But what they're not really discussing is that the deal ends up being really more of a $3 million deal that could end up being $8 million if the player ends up reaching that level. So we have the contract here for David Njoku. This is a fantastic report here from Over the Cap. And so we can see what the entirety of his cap hit is going to be next year for the Chargers. Well, his base, along with his signing bonus and other bonuses, end up being pretty favorable. But when you look at Njoku, most of that $8 million that he's trying to get to, that's going to come from incentives. And David Njoku is not someone that's actually going to hurt the Los Angeles Chargers if they decided to move on from him. So you're looking at David Njoku, who I already thought $8 million was going to be a solid deal for him. It's going to be an even lower number, and he's going to have to earn all of those top-end incentives. Well, that makes me pretty excited. That makes me pretty fired up for Njoku. One, because I think he's a really good tight end. But two, you're essentially saying the better that you play, the more money that you'll make, and that's going to lead to more incentive for Njoku to work out more this offseason and put himself in the best possible shape that he can to succeed. I think that Joe Ortiz just got away with absolute highway robbery. You're getting a top half of the league tight end. I don't know if I want to say top 10 tight end, but definitely someone who's on the upper echelon of tight ends in the National Football League in David Njoku, and you are getting him for pennies on the dollar. Maybe I need to take back some of the mean things I said about General Manager Joe Ortiz in March. What are your thoughts on the David Njoku contract? We're going to spend the rest of today's program diving into why I think it's a great deal for the Chargers, why I think David Njoku ended up signing on to that deal, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So first, let's look at the different points of views because we're going to dive into the Chargers' point of view and then David Njoku's point of view as well. The first thing is for the Chargers, they needed another tight end. If you're going to run a Mike McDaniel system, you can't have one good tight end. You can't have two. You need to have three. He likes to use a lot of 12, 13 personnel and other things of that nature. Now, we knew that the Chargers had a fairly decent tight end room, but we also knew that they were going to need to build upon it and continue to improve it. When you look at the tight end room right now for the Los Angeles Chargers, it's obviously a crew that is pretty strong, but that is going to continue to need to build. And at the time, the Chargers, well, simply they didn't have someone that could be that third tight end, or in the case of Njoku, end up being that second tight end. We got more to get into on today's show, but I need to let you know that today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app and is the best place to win cash while watching sports. With playoff basketball here, there's no better time to cash in with our friends at Prize Picks. I'll tell you this, the app, it's really easy to use. To qualify for a Prize Picks lineup, pick 2 to 6 players and select more or less on stat projections, including points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers, and several others across all sports. One thing I really love is the new social feeds feature where you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups with a single click. You can actually follow me on the app at BigWill7774 to see all of my lineups. I have a lineup for the football action going on later on this year. Justin Herbert, more on his pass yards. Quentin Johnston, more on his receiving TDs. Rashid Shaheed, more on his receiving yards. New user offer. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with Prize Picks. Clickable link to download the app is in the comments and description. So the Chargers had a clear need that we discussed earlier, but we also know that the Chargers were very interested in Njoku. They brought him in to kind of try out with the team, and they wanted to see how much tread he had left on the tires because you don't want to sign a guy who's going to be a 30-year-old tight end in the National Football League if he's kind of past his expiration date. Unfortunately, football players can be like milk. Once they're bad, it's really freaking bad. Njoku obviously had some down years over the last couple of years in Cleveland, but I think that's more to say about what Cleveland is and a lot of the issues that they have over there. But also, it's important to kind of talk about what Njoku was dealing with when it comes to an injury perspective. Njoku was someone that had to fight through a lot of things the last couple of years. So you saw those numbers go down. I think if he's able to have a year where he's 100% healthy, which I think the 13 personnel and 12 personnel formations that the Chargers are going to use will help him be able to stay healthier, that's going to help him stay on the field more. The longer that he's on the field, the better it is for this team. The last reason why I think the Chargers made this move is it's essentially the better you do, the more you get paid type of a deal. And the worse you do, either you stay at the same pay or we move on from you and we don't get hurt by your contract. It certainly feels like the Chargers have put David Njoku into a position where, hey man, we trust you. We like you a lot, and we're going to put you out on the field so that way you can do a lot of really good things this year, and maybe next year is the year that you go out and you get a bunch of money. Because if Njoku ends up having a great year, well then, hey, he's going to get paid a lot more. And I love this for the Chargers. This is a great job by General Manager Joe Ortiz. Bring in a good player on a team-friendly deal. Will David Njoku have a chip on his shoulder this season? Let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section, yes or no. I think that he certainly is, because I think that Njoku got hosed a little bit the last couple of years in Cleveland. That's why he had to take this deal. Njoku was someone that I thought would have signed early in free agency, but he was someone that kind of had to sign after the draft because they didn't want to have Njoku sign with a team that went against their comp picks, essentially. He wasn't good enough to be worth giving up a comp pick. That's going to fire him up, and I think he's going to play really well. I have two big reasons why Njoku took the deal. Obviously, we know he loves Justin Herbert, but it's clear that Njoku is very excited to get to play for offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel is someone that is really forward-thinking when it comes to offenses in the National Football League. He understands what teams are going to want to do to his offenses defensively. He finds new ways to be innovative, ahead of the curve. He's always doing things fresh in an unpredictable manner. So in Njoku's mind, he now has an opportunity to play for a guy like McDaniel that's only going to help him succeed in his career and elongate his career. Because at this point, Njoku, that guy is just trying to win Super Bowls and play in the National Football League as long as he can. I also think Njoku's a little bit hurt by how he's kind of been viewed the last couple of years. He got replaced by Harold Fannin in Cleveland. I think he wants to show everyone that he can still ball out. I think he wants to show everyone that he is going to have a very successful season this year and that he's not old and washed up yet. That's not something that anyone wants to hear. Old people don't like to be told that it's time to go in the nursing home. At that point, it's not going to feel so good for you. Njoku knows that if he goes out and has a big year this year, he can get paid. And that's the most important thing at the end of the day. Go earn yourself a big fat paycheck. Go help the Los Angeles Chargers be as successful as possible everybody wins. This is a contract that keeps Njoku in a position where he's in the league, but it's the best position for him because he's playing for a team that can go out and win the AFC West and win the AFC and potentially even win a Super Bowl. I love it for Njoku. I love it for the Chargers. If you loved today's video, you're going to smash that thumbs up button. I told you, we're going to get you OTA content. I promise. It's coming soon. That's why you're going to want to subscribe to the channel because you don't want to miss any of that. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. Make sure you go tell someone that you love them. And as always, bolt up.